Hey there, what do you hear? What do you say? Sandkazer here, and today I'm going to be giving an overview of scientific communication, what it is, what it's like, examples, the barriers that are facing scientific communications, and the ways to sort of overcome it, and a general conclusion as well. So, what is scientific communication? Scientific communication can be thought of as the practice of informing, education, and sharing scientific values and raising awareness of science related topics. The importance can be encapsulated by the idea that it facilitates public understanding, influences policy, promotes informed decision making, and is generally helpful to sort of conducing a sort of scientific worldview. Why communicating science in the first place, right? So primarily it's about education, right? So enhancing the knowledge and understanding of the general public, and also that ties into public engagement, encouraging community involvement and curiosity, right? There's also the policy influence aspect where you inform policymakers with evidence-based information, you promote trust, you build the trust between the scientific community and the public as well, ensuring that things are more cohesive and there's less tension between the two. So what are the sort of principles of effective scientific communication, right? So first and foremost is clarity, right? Using simple, clear language to clearly enunciate the topics underhand, right? Relevance, right? So relating the various scientific issues to everyday life and current issues, right? Engagement, making the content interactive and relatable and so easier to digest and easier to understand, right? And accuracy is of the utmost importance, right? Ensuring that the evidence is accurate and evidence-based. What are the various means that science is communicated, right? So you have the traditional media, such as newspapers, magazines, TV, and so forth. You have digital media, such as blogs, social media, YouTube, etc. You have public engagements, talks, public lectures, science festivals. You have educational resources, books, podcasts, documentaries, and in my case, hopefully games soon. There are various examples of effective science communicators. Foremost among them is Neil deGrasse Tyson. He popularizes astrophysics, right? And he's seen to the right here. And he is someone who's very known and very prolific, right? Bill Nye, the Science Guy, was very prevalent in the 90s and still is to a much lesser extent today. He engages children with science and sort of effectively tries to communicate the various ideas. You have science YouTube channels like Veritasam, ASAP Science, etc. And you also have citizen science projects where you try to involve the public actively in scientific research. What are the challenges faced in scientific communication, right? So one of the really prevalent ones is misinformation, right? And this is where people either intentionally or unintentionally basically propagate false information that undermines science, right? Another one is complexity, right? So you have to sort of walk a sort of tightrope between some simplifying and non-simplifying a given thing, right? So you simplify it to such an extent that the layman can understand it, but you don't simplify it to such an extent that like the nuances get missed, right? Public distrust is a huge one, right? Vaccine skepticism and things of that sort of nature are things that have become very, very prevalent in the past couple of years, especially as a result of COVID, right? And accessibility, right? So reaching diverse audiences. So people maybe who don't have like access to like the language of their home country, or like people who are sort of didn't have that great an education. As a result, they're not really clearly familiar with what exactly science is all about or what's going on. So yeah, these are the various challenges. What are the strategies to overcome these various barriers, right? So one is fact checking, right? So promoting sort of rigorous fact checking and sort of inculcating a culture where this is the norm. Storytelling can be in a sense, right? People sometimes often are wary of stories, but stories can actually be very helpful in telling a story, right? Using narratives to sort of make science more relatable. There's community engagement, building relationship with the audience to try to make them more trustworthy and try to make them more understanding and try to be inclusive as well, ensuring that sort of diverse voices and perspectives are represented within science, right? There is a quote by Niels Bohr that I think perfectly sort of encapsulates what science communication is all about. What is it we humans depend on? We depend on our words, right? Our task is to sort of communicate and to experience our ideas to others, right? We try to strive continually to extend the scope of our description, but in such a way that our message do not thereby lose their objective or unambiguous character. So try to never express yourself more clearly than you are able to think. And with that, this is Sandkazer signing off.